everybody up.
Come on in, Bob.
Come on in, Uncle Bob.
We hadn't started yet. Come on in.
Good deal.
It's 10:04, we're calling this meeting Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. I'd like to call on Commissioner Beecham to give the invocation or to ask someone else, whichever you're going to do.
Judge, all governments run by fallible people, and it's nice to know that we do have folks in the community that are there as our prayer warriors, lifting us up daily in prayer. And one such prayer warrior standing with us today, John Ward. I would like to call on you to ask our invocations.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity to gather here today. This is another day that you've made, and we'll rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for the commissioners and the county judge that take care of the business of this county. We pray your blessings upon them and their efforts. We pray for the great state of Texas and for America. We have so many problems, not only in our country, but especially around the world. People without food, shelter, and clothing. We ask, Lord, somehow you provide for them. We pray today, Lord, that you would guide and help us to all seek your favor and to walk in your will. We pray this in the name of our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, sir. Y'all join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You're right. That's not hard to do. That is not hard to do.
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah. One.
That's kind of like Google, isn't it?
So we fired up. Yeah.
No. Held it down long enough.
Bean counters are tough.
All right. I've asked the court to review the consent agenda and take action.
Judge, I'd make the motion, but I do have some questions,
All right.
please.
Second.
Bear with me, if you would. Yes.
What numbers?
I had a question on the pier pricing.
Okay, number 6.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a cost associated with that?
Not as of yet. We're accepting the change order as a unit price per unit because they're adjusting all the piers for different depths and moving of piers, etc. So we put that all in one change order when we have that final total.
So we'll still see a total come?
Yeah, we'll see a total.
Okay.
This is accepting the unit price.
And on that same order, there was an additional adjustment of 60 some odd thousand for change order.
Item number 5.
For removal of sand rock, that was rock that was encountered when they were putting in the retaining wall along the eastern portion of the property.
And we don't have any ability to assist in that, or
It required some rental equipment, special equipment.
to bust the rock and then carry it out
That
to?
was the majority of the cost was the rental equipment.
Okay. And then on, Judge, on line 2 about the roof, I thought we were already into the roof project. And just so I'm clear, I mean, we are about $44,000 more for the annex roof than what the jail cost us. Is that?
No, the jail cost us almost $1 million, just shy of $1 million.
Okay, that's what I was way off. I was thinking 100. I don't know why I thought 100,000 is what we had paid and saw that up, so you're right, that registers with me.
We could only wish.
I was just seeing the number, wrong.
We actually were very surprised at this low number. We anticipated 500, 600,000, and I feel very blessed that this is
Now-
only taking 140.
And we opened these when, the Booze Roofing fellows were here, and that was just a few weeks ago, right?
It's been longer now.
Yeah, it's
A
been
month or month and a
Couple
half.
months,
Yeah, if they work that fast, I'd be real impressed.
Okay. Okay, and then, Mark, did we ever hear anything from the Encore incentive?
No, I have not heard. We do have that on the agenda for approval.
Are we obligated to settle for that, or can we carry that over, or can we, is there
But
alternative thoughts, I guess, to a bankrupt budget from Encore about that?
I do not know at this point.
Is that the next item of this?
number 8.
No, it's number 8. It's,
Oh, okay, that's right. We did have it.
No.
There, what, Judge, in the essence of it was that Mark had asked them why they had not moved forward with the incentive arrangement at a quicker time, because they're telling us now that the budget amount remaining is very low or limited.
Yeah. According to my conversation with them, there may be additional funds that will be allocated, so we're not out of the running, we haven't filed yet, so
Okay,
we can't file until we approve it today.
okay.
Okay.
Judge, could we get John to speak on item number 11?
Mr. Gillespie.
That's fine. Actually, that's,
Well, I'm
it's
sorry.
probably why Chris is here, actually. This is a contract that we do every year,
Yeah.
for the Title IV-E Legal Services Grant.
We don't, that's the normal amount, it's about the same every year.
Mhm.
It's unfortunately reversed in how we like it, we get 20% instead of paying 20%, but it's something's better than nothing.
But that's not over and above money, that's actually budgeted money, right? I mean,
Yes. It's our, the grant pays for the salaries of the CPS, a portion of the salaries and fringe
Okay.
of the CPS. The CPS has its own copier. We mark supplies that we purchase as CPS supplies so they can go into the grant. So Chris is the one that keeps up with all of
So
that.
it just buys their payroll down to some extent.
Yes.
But it's better than nothing.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was just wondering, the 77,000, if that was something we were gonna have to come up with, or if we budgeted it.
It's already budgeted.
But we have to go through this or to get that portion of it. There's another one we approved last week that you all already submitted.
That's right. This CPS grant, we're legally obligated, the DA's office, to provide representation for CPS cases in Wichita County. So the full amount our county is legally obligated to pay for, so the offset is a positive thing.
I did talk to them about it after I got your update. I was glad you gave me an update, but I didn't come in there with my guns loaded with the wrong ammunition. So, but they were very appreciative of the information you all have furnished on that bill. There's another bill that's gonna probably approve a study to be done on to see what kind of money is being put in by the counties in the CPS cases, child custody, all of that we don't get any credit for, but just keeps going up.
Right.
And someone might call it an under mandate, but. Okay. Anything else on consent agenda? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item number 1 is to review, and approve the irregular bills for payment.
motion to approve, Judge.
Second.
Any other comments, questions on the bills? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item 2 is open and take action as necessary on the RFPs for retail electricity. Do we have any other bids? Okay.
That,
4?
Do you have a opener? Scissor. Barry, you don't have your pocket knife.
See, Bill Preston always carries a knife,
Yeah, and I didn't put mine in the pocket this morning.
I didn't either. So he had a knife.
I don't think he was allowed to.
I think that's probably it.
First one is
First
Direct
one.
Energy.
Direct Energy.
Yes, sir.
This is received from Direct Energy.
Did it have a kilowatt per hour?
That's what I was looking to see if we got anything. Okay, the start date is October of 2025. Annual volume is estimated at 66 MWH. For, we've got 5 different prices with a change. The 60-month price is 0.0130, 5% annually would change it to 03133, or 10% would boost it to 03136.
The lovely Miss Carrie Lovett with TXU.
She lived here pretty soon.
Is that bear on the bid?
Isn't there scissors, man? Yeah.
That's a good butcher knife.
I tried to, it won't let me in the window.
Is this?
32 in there.
Okay. They're in there too.
Reliant.
Okay, hang on until
All right.
Carrie, I'll help you.
Last page shows.
Oh, what I'm seeing on here is a monthly standard charge of 0000.
She wins.
That's a good number.
Free nights, free weekends, free days. That's a good plan.
Okay, I'm at commodity charge, Carrie, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's it, 0.0238500.
A kilowatt hour? I don't believe it.
This is more Reliant.
That's all Reliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we really only had 3.
Three.
Oh, okay. Well, they sent 2 different proposals, or things, 2 boxes.
2 boxes, as far as we can tell. But we'll have to look and see for sure.
There's 2
They all
originals.
say original.
No, this says original, the copy, and that says original, the copy.
Copy, okay.
Look at the other box. What does the other box say? This says Reliant Energy Retail Services. And we may can tell from,
Well, submitted by on the copy.
NRG Energy.
NRG is who?
Okay, this says submitted by Reliant Energy Retail.
Okay. This is submitted by Reliant Energy Retail.
Maybe this is just, they're shipped
You're on price.
a day apart though.
Well, I've got 2 originals, so.
Well, I've got the 3rd one here. Looks looks like it's
Is
the
that the original or
same.
it's a copy?
Yeah, it looks the same to me. The same person sent us to us
Right here, it says copy.
Chantrell from,
You got two originals.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're afraid of
Line.
mine.
Are they the same?
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. They are.
So it looks like really only three then, correct?
Okay, their price on, they can't be talking the same thing. Okay, we were really looking at everybody at 60 months.
Mhm.
Okay, 60 month, fixed price to the zone, 25.76.
Well,
Yeah.
what, it's in a different
Yeah.
kilowatt than kilowatt per hour. But it probably could be in the .025 range.
Why don't we just take them?
We're gonna take them under advisement. Okay. So we had 3 proposals.
Yes, sir. And Judge, on that note, right quick, could we ask Carrie to give us, and I mentioned this to Mark on Friday, there is some TXU incentive monies I know that we've talked about, but they don't exist without being a customer, right? We need to be a customer in order to take advantage of the incentives that are out there, correct? Okay. And
Are those incentives from Encore or from TXU?
Okay. I was unclear on that, and I couldn't tell Mark exactly when he and I visited about the Encore.
Who was the first one?
Direct Energy.
Okay. Can I have a motion to take these under advisement for 2 weeks?
So moved, Judge.
Second. Okay, motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Beach, to take these under advisement for up to 2 weeks. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, motion carries 5-0. Okay, item 3 is discuss and take action to authorize purchase of 9 mobile radios and 9 portable radios that will communicate with the new radio project for investigators in the district attorney's office and the DED for a price not to exceed $46,029.87 to be paid by transfer from 2019 unused salary. Mr. Lester.
Judge Dawson was kind enough to inform me that the county was going to this and asked me to check with our investigators. Currently the car radios would not be compatible with the new system that the sheriff's office is going to. The Wichita Falls Police Department, they're already not compatible with that, which, not that that would fix that issue, but they at least need to be able to communicate directly with, the other law enforcement in the county, which the sheriff's office, certainly is. And so I checked into it. I very strongly believe we need to do that for their safety, for the safety of the sheriff's deputies who are out there, because you could have a DA investigator that's out serving his hand, the person by, and you're a call out and respond to that. And we were looking at how to do it. We checked, Lee Burgoyne told us that the previous administration, they had, I guess last year, checked with them about this, and they said, nah, we're fine. We don't need to go to this. I don't know exactly what the motivations were for not updating the technology then, but I can't imagine any law enforcement officer that was going to be in the DA's office would not want to be part of that. It's a major safety issue. I'm trying to be considerate of the county budget. We are still down. There's the attorney position that I intend to give back in the budget session as part of what we've proposed with the salaries with Meredith and Bryce, and to help address some other salary priorities. But setting that one aside, we're still down 4 attorneys. We're very hopeful that after the bar results come out in May, we'll be able to fill those. but we have more than enough money still from those 4 positions to cover the difference. So I would just ask for y'all to authorize that. And the handhelds currently would be compatible, but I'm told that will not last long, that they, you know, as technology updates, that they don't have the ability to remain to remain compatible because they're obsolete. So it didn't make sense to me to not do it all together. I think we ought to update all that. So that's what I would ask for the court to do. I so appreciate Judge Gossett bringing that to my attention, because that's, you know, something we learned about, you know, after the fact last year that happened. So
Yeah, no, we don't want to have that. I appreciate what you're trying to do and funding it that way from given funds. It's unusual we would take that out of personnel and move that, but I think this case warrants that consideration and action, so.
And it's a one-time cost, not an ongoing cost, so.
But this does get mobiles and handhelds?
that's correct.
Throws me, it's 9 radios, okay?
The Drug Enforcement Division.
Which one got, no, is that just 9 mobiles or 5 mobiles and I didn't.
It's 9 of each. It would be 9
9 of each.
mobiles
Okay.
and 9
Okay.
handhelds for
Okay,
all
I
of
was
them.
dividing it the
Right.
other way, and I'm thinking, who didn't get what? Okay.
No.
But it's 9 each.
9
Okay.
each.
Motion to approve.
Thanks.
Second.
Thank you, John.
Thank y'all.
Motion by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Watts. Any other comments? All in favor? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries 5-0.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Item number 4, discuss, consider, or take action to purchase 14 chairs for the second and third floor hallways at a cost not to exceed a total of $2,013.40, including delivery, installation to be paid from permanent improvement fund. Commissioner Beecham.
Yes, we started to get a collection of assorted office chairs again on the 3rd floor. We had one of our pews blow out again, so it had to be removed. These chairs are exactly like the ones in the 2nd floor lobby. We were moving some furniture around, putting most of those on the 2nd floor to match what's down there, and moving some of the ones that are on the 2nd floor up.
Can we?
Doing some shuffling.
Can we, Mark, maybe assimilate or spread out the bench scenario down there so it's not, you know, it's a little intimidating to be on the, it's just kind of, it clogs it, I think, or it doesn't have the look, and I love those chairs that
The gray
you
ones.
found for us. And I think they have a new look to them and cleans it up, but
Well, we
the benches are nice, they just are
We can certainly
clogging.
get more of the gray chairs if that's the desire.
I didn't know if there's other places that, but I noticed if you look down the hall where we painted and stuff, everybody, the bench throws their head up against the wall bad, where a chair doesn't do that as much, and
Yeah.
they're just, we've got a stain going down the wall from extended bench setting use. But I'm,
Only trouble is it's not easy to sleep in those chairs. You have to put 2 of them together at best. And I'm sure somebody will do it.
Got a clear
I mean, I don't have a number of what that would take. I know right now that needs 14 to do what I have in my mind to move everything around, so
Okay.
I can come back.
Why don't we let Mark do what he's been planning and then see what it looks like?
yeah, I think so too, and just keep that in mind, that I think if there's other options for that bench scenario, and Meredith, I don't know what happens today for outside the grand jury. Are those people outside your double doors or inside your double doors?
They're
when
inside our double doors, and part of the project that we did, we bought seating as well
Okay.
for that grand jury area.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
it's not all in yet, but we have a couple of upholstered benches and the chairs for the bailiff
Okay.
that sits outside of the grand jury room. So
Okay.
we've moved all of that witness seating into our area.
okay,
It's
great.
really nice down there too.
Especially that round table.
Now that, I
No,
didn't, we
I'm-
didn't spend any county money on that, that's my personal, I would like to go on record to say, the rug, the flowers, and the table are, I thought that was nice, it would lend a nice entrance into that area, cause that
And
hole
it
is
does.
So are you
cavernous.
lending, are
Very
you
much
lending that
does.
to the county or donating it?
I'm lending it to
Until
the
she gets,
county, but
until
I'll
she
be
gets
here
tired of it
until I
and likes
die,
a different
so.
look.
Possessions
So-
of 9 cents of the law.
So it's okay if I lend my pork lip to the county board, right?
No,
Yeah, it's never been a problem.
my flowers and my table don't involve any liability.
Now, someone sits on that table and it
Now-
collapses.
Her mother should have taught her better.
That would be my motion to proceed with the
Second.
purchase of four.
The table's not drivable.
Any other germane comments? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries 5-0. Item number 5, receive an update on the Law Enforcement Center project. Mr. Beecham.
It's fantastic. There should be pouring concrete. I did make it out this morning to see what was accomplished over the weekend. It's just Friday. They should be starting concrete, pouring the pouring beds for the tilt walls. We spent a considerable amount of time last week taking colors for the exterior, so going with a earth tone palette and keeping with how our buildings end up anyway, turning red at the bottom, going with dark color on the bottom, and then lightening up as we go to the top, finishing off the bronze cap. All in all, everything's moving exactly as planned.
So what is your next milestone?
Next milestone is pouring, starting pouring slabs, that's the big one. And then
Okay.
The next one after.
And on the plan, what's the date of that milestone? Are we like on schedule is what I'm getting
Yeah,
at?
yeah, we're on schedule.
Okay, cool.
Everything is
Cool.
on schedule.
That's
Now,
good.
with a week worth of rain in the forecast,
It can happen quick.
all things could change this week.
It can slide, sure could. But it's doing good right now.
Right now,
So it's not like we're behind and we're looking at another week of rain.
plus
We're
there's
good.
plenty of rain days, and they've taken great pains to plan the erection of the tilt walls and making sure everything falls in the proper sequence, actually speeding up the time of construction by going to the extra lengths of planning, the detail, and having it ready for the walls, so.
We're very rapidly moving towards the drier season, so,
Yes.
The dryer season?
absolutely.
June?
And we still got May to go. But all in all, everything.
I'm not talking about the next 2 days, I'm talking about the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's coming, trust me.
Project's moving forward.
Okay. Very good. All right, anyone in the audience have anything to bring up?
Gentlemen, and certainly ladies in the room. Treasurers Conference last week, just want to give you an update. House Bill 1 is a bill that's was introduced by the Treasurers Conference to eliminate the ongoing situation of having to approve payroll, and it's gotten really good traction. I think you were down there,
Yes, sir.
Judge.
Yes, sir.
So, anyway, Dolores said that,
I thought your number, it said something on one of the walls for a good time called Bob and.
no, I said room 407.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8675309.
Then I looked at the county rules and regs and I realized I couldn't have a good time. This is strictly business. Anyway, I just thought you'd like to know about that.
No, I knew you were there.
This thing looks like it's gonna pass. And we had several senators and congressmen come over. Interestingly enough, we did have
James?
anyway, but there's a real uncertainty about this ad valorem deal.
Only about the number and whether it's gonna be 2.5, 3.5, or 4, that's the auction.
or pass, you know, the senator from Dallas, who, by the way, I can't remember his name.
Is it Houston Whitmire?
Really a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's a Democrat.
Whitmire, isn't it?
No, Whitmire's from Houston.
No,
Whitmire,
this
He is a
gentleman,
Democrat,
6'4",
the
and
dean of the Senate, is
classy, yeah, just a classy guy. And, do you,
Bob, I think one of the real questions is the governor says he's not gonna sign it unless it comes in at a certain level, so that's another, I mean, there are several hurdles yet to get over, so that was as of last week.
yeah.
He's gotta come in at a certain point, or he said he won't sign it, so.
Well, I thought you'd like
Which
to.
doesn't necessarily mean it won't become law.
they couldn't pass it that way. I don't think they've got the votes in the Senate.
Yeah, you gotta have the
We're
votes,
sending
but-
the number of copies that you did.
I know this is gonna come as a shock to you, but I gave them an earful. And, you know, cutting our income, my question was, how do you justify indigent defense funding and indigent healthcare? You know, this thing is turning into a one-way street. And my counterpart from Waco, Bill spoke right up and said, sounds to me like more like centralized control.
Well, if you didn't like that, you won't like a few of the other things.
Oh, I know, but.
One of those is Senate
The
Bill.
real positive is that payroll mess.
Well, that part's good.
Yeah.
But in Senate Bill 2, in the very last paragraph, it categorizes a certain group of employees in local government that once you set their salary and benefits in 2020, they could never go down. So if you had this group of employees that set, and then you look at our health insurance program that we have changed, theoretically, that group of employees would have to have this or better compared to everybody else. And I did speak too late to Senator Fallon about it, but early enough to Representative Frank, because that's gonna go into conference, and he said he would definitely look into that.
Judge, what was the thought behind making such a, I mean,
You used the word I'm foreign with, and you said legislature, and you said thought. There was no thought in that.
Trying to cut down on the lobbyists.
Somebody got to them and is trading out something or other. There's not a good reason for that. And especially when you're gonna then limit the ability of local government to pay its bills. Now, you know, while I argued and spoke and talked to different groups about that down there, fully realizing in the situation we're in, we have generally stayed under that amount of money, whether it's 2.5 or 3.5 or 4. We've stayed under it, and particularly given our budget situation for the next 29 years.
We know where we're gonna be.
But to put things in like that, representing a special interest group, they did have some other good things, taking away some of the authority of district judges to set salaries. Now, which way they go on that, I don't know. I look for a lot of that to change. The House is supposedly working the Senate version of the tax bill. So we'll see. Then we've had the assurances out of the governor that if it doesn't deal with school funding and his number, which is somewhat vague, and I think they're about to do away with the super formulas they were coming up with because they couldn't figure out what they meant by what they said. Two different things, CPI, and I did wrinkle some heads when I said, if you're applying CPI, apply it to the budget, not the tax rate.
Absolutely.
I said, that's what is affected by CPI is the money we spend, not the money we tax for. And it wrinkled, but it was like, you know, but that's really what we're dealing with, is whether, if inflation is the case and it's 2%, 2% on 60 cents is not the same as 2% on 60 million. which is what you're saying you need if you just accept inflationary growth. Thanks for being down there and your leadership in that organization. All right, anyone else? You wanna tell them about Senate Bill 9?
Right after me.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, this is.
You saw it, too?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that is.
I want to tell Commissioner Beecham that Senate Bill 9, there's way down at the bottom, looks like y'all will be buying new election equipment by 2024. You will have to have paper trail.
There's no funding attached to Senate Bill 9.
Not, but there is other funding proposed for up to half. Now, there was some talk of bracketing that in smaller counties. If we are being the middle child is not good.
We reap the benefits from either side, yeah, I mean, from neither side.
Neither side, yeah.
You always fall in the middle.
The new,
Exactly right.
the new C-TERS bill, but they dreamed up a different name for it,
Yep.
only covers 52 counties. And
We're not one of them.
and we're not one of them, and it was based on if you were paying in, what's it, the oil, the term, I'm losing,
Would it be depletion or?
depletion allowance.
Yeah.
We only collect 4.2 million here. So they made the cutoff at 10 million, which then separated out 52 counties. Instead of going with the TxDOT formula, which included 119 of us last time. The other thing they're doing, those counties do not have to put up any of the 20% match. And I tried to be diplomatic, when I testified, because one of the county judges who was in the 52 was how much they needed to, not have to put that 20% in. Okay, what are you doing with the rest of your road and bridge budget? Are you gonna contract out all that, and you're gonna go on and work on other roads, or are you gonna be working on those? And he wasn't sure how they were doing
Spend
that.
it the way you normally do, or you apply it to the 20% and you expand your budget by a nominal amount. It's a pretty easy decision, I would think, but,
Yeah.
it's just me.
At any rate, but the thing that Ms. Bohannon mentioned this morning again, I'd already heard the good half of that funding was looking like it would be there. But
And our current note pays off when, Judge, for our existing equipment?
This year.
Oh, this year, so
Just in
we
time.
do have free and clear equipment, it's not like we're gonna halfway in a note and have to buy additional. I mean, I know we don't want to, but we're not encumbered.
They would have free and clear worthless
I was
equipment.
gonna say, where are you gonna go with it? I mean,
Oklahoma?
there's,
I don't know. Mexico.
Yeah.
Florida could use them.
Florida.
The landfill.
Yeah.
We just got rid of the old
Mhm.
Yeah, just go haul off.
stepchildren.
Oh, and the other thing I told the judge this morning is I have been already to both places in City View, because, early voting started today. Both places in City View and Burke, all the little piggybacks that's in the machines, we're having to bypass them. So either I'm gonna have to learn how to, I guess, be whatever kind of mechanic on those machines, or
Now, say that again, Lori, I'm not following.
in the back of the machine, in the back of the booth, there's a port that you take and you chain each machine to.
Right.
Well, from the back of the machine to that port is a cord about this long.
Oh,
It's called a piggyback. Well, if those pins get bent, then it don't work. So we're having to go in and undo everything and go directly from machine to machine, which isn't a problem, but it is if early voting is started at 8 o'clock and their machines aren't coming up. So I've already been.
but I mean, is that something that IT can help us order to plug
Well,
in
I can order them through Hart, and they're not that expensive. It's just,
and overnight them to you?
but it's just, you
You
have to
have
have a
pins?
special tool, which I do have, but it's trying to get in there and do them, and
Are you talking about bent pins in the machine itself?
yes.
Yeah, those are straight. Well, I've got a tool to do that. I run into that all the time.
come show me how to do it. And it's just, you know, like if the guys, and I love
You gotta
the
be careful,
precinct,
because they will break off.
Yeah.
but I love the precinct guys taking them and delivering the equipment, setting them up, but if they tie them too tight, then when we undo them, it bends the pins.
I worked on a 21-pin connection yesterday for about an hour, as a matter of fact, finally got it.
Well, we may have to get that because we've tried, but we have to bypass them, and sometimes it's just, you know, you have a line of people waiting to vote.
Yeah.
Because you have to shut everything down and bring it all back up, and it just takes time.
That's very, those pins are fragile.
Yes.
So even with the right cords, you necessarily, until you straighten pins, can't get them plugged in.
And if you get it in there, if it doesn't go exactly in straight, you'll bend one when you put it in, and it's.
Yeah, and see, I've never changed them out yet, so I have a couple of the piggybacks, I just have to get over there and try to figure out if I can do it or not. I'm sure I can, but.
But I bet George would help you, or look at it or something, or, and if you had to overnight something to yourself, you could.
Fine. But early voting for the cities and schools, Burke, Owl Park, and City View have started today.
People are voting in electric and Parkman this morning.
Yes.
City View too.
City View, Park.
Commissioner Beaton? Go ahead. Commissioner Harvey?
Man, what an Easter service. Our church was bulging at the seams. We started our service off with the little 12-year-old girl getting baptized. It was just a great day, Sunday, until about 3 o'clock. And then it kind of went south after that. I borrowed my buddy's barbecue pit. As I crossed the railroad tracks in Burke, it came off my truck. And it proceeded to go through the wall of the city barn there in Burke. There were water meters on that wall on shelves.
Oh my
All
gosh.
the water meters were broken when they.
Lee, I wouldn't have told that story.
Did it go into slow motion, Lee?
It did.
There goes your grant for the Burke Development.
Now I'm sure, now this is a story I get all the time. I looked at that, Mr. Watson, it was hooked. That hitch come undone somehow and came off that ball.
Yeah, you know who
That's right.
You got a lot of sympathy up there, I can tell.
When we hooked the trailer back
Because we've
up,
all done it, Bob.
when we hooked the trailer back up and locked it deal down, Gerald Dorsey grabbed a hold of the tongue and pulled it up and pulled it off the ball. So, being size.
Wrong ball.
Joe got diagnosed then. It
Wore-
did not diagnose.
Wore out. So, I go to shop at the barbecue pit and I unwrap my pork butts and I got out of the freezer and thawed out 10 of them, great big ones. They stunk.
Oh, no.
That's not good.
They had not froze solidly? Were they too tight?
I don't know, but I threw it all in the trash and every place was closed. It was just a terrible afternoon. Yeah, we finally got it done. So if you intend on coming to Aggie Muster tonight in Burke Burnett, where all the Aggies are gathering in our
Pizza.
region, we will be having pulled pork sandwiches and some smoked sausage. And the judge has ordered spicy mashed potatoes. So we're gonna,
That ought to be good.
we're gonna boil them potatoes in the cage with it. But anyway, Aggie Muster tonight. We leave Thursday morning for the helicopter hog hunt. We'll be in Trusting, Texas for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we'll plan to come home Sunday. Our county commissioners are headed to Amarillo, for a get-together up there, and on their way home, our home
Yes.
conference.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't fret, I hear you say that.
And on their way home, they all get to stop by and spend at least one day at the ranch with us.
Pass that tomorrow.
Our veterans are coming in. We've got 16 vets this year. They're coming from all over the country.
I was also in Austin last week for 2 days. Guys, when the legislature's meeting in Austin, Texas, you gotta go. There are things going on down there that if you don't go and you don't testify and you don't go visit people, gets done, just like we've discussed here this morning, and things happen to you that you won't like, you've got to have reasonable people going down there. And I just applaud anybody that takes the time. It's not fun, it's not easy, but you gotta go, Bob. It's vitally important. I mean, that is our government at work, and we've got to have a thing say. We all get wadded up over the presidential election. Everybody gets excited, one way or the other. And yet, you ask those same people who their state representative is or their state senator, and they can't tell you. And I say that has more direct effect on your day-to-day life than who's in the White House. It does, that they write the rules we live by. So I got a chance to go down and spend some time. I got to tell this story because it was flattering to the judge. And you got to pat him on the back every once in a while. And
There we go.
I get in to see Senator Perry, which is always Senator Perry is one of the ones that you can really have a conversation with, and he understands how things are. And we were talking, and he and as many people as he meets and sees every day, I don't know how he does it, but he remembered, because Judge and I went and had lunch with him right after he was elected. We drove out one day and visited with him, just get to know him. And I went in and shook hands with him. He said, you still on the State Soil and Water Conservation Board? I said, yes, sir. He said, you still county commissioner? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, it's funny. He said, I had breakfast with Judge Gossam this morning, and he said, I saw Rex Isom, who is our executive director for Soil and Water Conservation Board. He said, I saw him last night. He said, you hang out with good guys. So that's a great compliment right there. I said, yes, I do, and that's important. We had a good visit, and one of the things we did that was very unique, I went with the Farm Bureau group, and they have a legislative presence down there, and of course they're very involved in private property rights and other things that affect all Texans, not just rural, not just farmers and ranchers, but they made sure we saw our people, James Frank, Drew Springer, Pat Fallon, our guys that we have in this part of the country, and then they put us with about 4 urban state representatives from Dallas and inner city Houston that we'd never seen before, and that's really broadens your perspective of how state government works. And so we went in and talked to them. We're going in to talk about eminent domain with one of the state reps out of Fort Worth, and Tommy Henderson from Clay County was with us, and he says, how are we gonna handle this? I said, we're gonna use that old Southern charm. He said, you take the lead. So anyway, but it was really interesting to talk to people that live differently than we do, have a different perspective, and we found them to be very reasonable people, very open to our answers to questions and the questions that we needed answered, and it was a good experience. You gotta go when it's in session. If you get a chance to go. They need people, regular people, working people, to go down there and testify. It is vitally important that we continue to do that, and I'm glad we've got a lot of people in this part of the country that have gone. So that's my story. But it's a madhouse down there, and it's starting to go downhill now. I mean, it's the ball's going to be rolling pretty fast here over the next couple of weeks with hearings and all kinds of things, and pretty soon we'll find out what rules we're going to live under for the next 2 years. So anyway, good experience, something you got to go do.
Commissioner Watts.
Yes, on that note, the judge, are you going down Tuesday for that Tuesday?
No, I wanted to talk to you, Jeff, the Judge McKnight was in your office. That's the day we start budget talks.
On that Tuesday? Okay.
So it's not on Judge's calendar.
Okay.
Make it
Well, I just wondered if we needed to arrange any appointments, but I didn't. Is our budget stuff on our calendars? Or can we get Alexis to put it on there and double check?
I can make sure, but there will be an agenda going.
Okay, well, I'd asked Commissioner Mahler about it if he was on that. Okay. And so I do have several things. The judge, I sent you an email, and Willie, I know I kept you in the loop in looking. Meredith, I talked with Ms. LaRue on posing a question. Purdue Brandon Fielder asked me if I would or put the question together, they would get Robert Mott involved and have him give us some example. There tentatively or possibly exists the possibility to, our TIF payment was X, but we also paid in 2018 tax a catch-up amount, and combining them might be a possibility to pull down our appraised value so our effective rate is not so impacted. And I just don't want to miss the opportunity if it exists.
Molly filled me in on that. Said Purdue Brandon has somebody in one of their, I think, Panhandle offices.
Yes.
Kind of the guru on that kind
Right.
of thing, and they certainly would have that expertise. So if they can help us with that issue, that would be great.
And the way it reads, it's not specific to, it's just payment made in the year, not for that
For that
year.
year.
And so we think there's maybe a possibility that we could take advantage of the catch-up payment, because before it never benefited us in any way. We never captured that amount off of our formula for effective rate, so, okay, that's good. And before I forget, I made a note, Meredith, too. I got my survey and stuff from Corlett, Probst and Boyd for that waterway project out there. And could I get you to touch base or have somebody touch base with Jonathan as to
Sure.
where we're at? Because
Yes.
we need to get that scheduled.
Okay.
The Volvo has laid down on us. As it pins right now, Gene and Charlie are telling me that at Bruckner's that, Jeff, before I open this thing up, you can bet you're at $6,500. Josh is telling me him and John looked at the truck and they think that on a good day we might get $5,000 for it if it's running. And so Charlie says that, you know, I better put me a couple of thou on top side, just because he only knows of one broken rocker arm, but there could be bent one or other ones that we might as well do if we're in there. So I reached out this morning first thing after dealing with it Friday and got some pricing, or put together some quotes for coming in for leasing a unit to replace this thing. Just look at what our options are. So I'll have those together fairly quick for something, a road tractor with a day cab on it that we can use and maybe afford. But I don't know what, I mean, this is one thing Charlie told me, just so y'all know. When Charlie first called me, he said, Jeff, I can tell this job, I just know this job, it's about 35 hours, so you're looking at close to $3,500 in labor alone and before we open it up. And I said, well, Charlie, don't you think for a couple of thousand I can get the parts on this deal? And he said, no, Jeff, that's not the way it works anymore. These old units, they have begun to price those parts. What we were buying, he gave me an example, in a very common Mac, old Mac that comes through all the time. What they were paying $2,500 for has now changed to $7,500. They're trying to push them out of the marketplace. And so he said the parts on these things are astronomical, which my guy tells me that's good and bad, because even as a scrap unit, you've got some value in your old truck because others are wanting to steal parts off of it. So even if it didn't run, you still have some value to part it out. But I don't know. We have poured the money into that old thing. It's a 99 model. It shows about 250,000 miles on it. Who knows if that's the first time around or not. So I just...
Probably spent over $20,000 on that truck the last 3-4 years.
And we just spent, you know, the manifold system fell off, rotted in two, and we just put it back on there just 2 weeks ago. So I just think
If we get a new truck, I would like us to consider getting trucks identical to the ones that we got for the belly dumpers.
I'm with you.
That would be good money spent.
Yeah. and I've got him pricing that. Now, there are used trucks, new model used trucks out there in fleets. Because of what we're looking for, it gives us a little advantage because, you know, the Ryder programs, Penske programs, everybody that leases road tractors have used stuff that is not long in the tooth in their equation. We can look at it and see how it compares to a lease arrangement that for 3 or
Well,
year
if we just
deal.
pull it out of service, where are we gonna be? That'll leave us with.
We're short. We're hurting. Donald's needing, Pete's worried about Donald having enough get through now with being down, and I was hoping that I could call all of the big groups that you see. One of the large parts chasers in Texas that ship Chevrolet and Ford everywhere, Black Stallion, I believe, services. All those trucks are Ryder trucks. They say Black Stallion on them, but they're all Ryder fleet that go down the road and they maintenance and I was hoping I could quickly get some pricing on a lease truck that we just pay lease on and in 3 years trade it in. That works in the same, and I just want to give y'all some pricing on that, but I hopefully have it up pretty quick, so.
We're gonna put it back together, we're gonna pull the plug on it. We're already into it probably for $2,500, take it.
Let's just trade it in on the new truck.
Well, I asked Josh
We
to,
do not want to keep it.
we don't want to keep it, it's a problem. And
You didn't tell them what I volunteered to do on Friday, did you, Tim? I said, I've got a cut torch on my pickup, I'll drive over there and cut the frame into, so we put ourselves out
can't use
there.
it again. But what I did is I asked Josh and them to take that into account to get us out from under that. And there is, and I just hadn't got to the bottom of it. Kenny had identified it earlier, and I asked Pete to resolve it. And but there's something on that title we've got to work through. I don't know if it's where we've didn't transfer it correctly or what, but the update on distributor. We've got the distributor, hopefully maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, be ready to come home. And I wondered if we could schedule a test run and get, maybe something pushed through there as well as the rock box put together.
We still go to Lawton and load oil in it.
Could we?
Not have to order a tank. We used to do
Yeah,
that.
we could.
We used to
I
do
thought
that.
you had all.
I do have some, as long as we, make sure it's super clean. And I think I could run some, Barry.
We need to run it.
If you have any doubts, I would use it. I think
Yeah.
a lot of them get.
But can I have somebody come help me on that, Judge, where I'm making sure I filtered in good, or if I thought it was clabbering or anything? I mean, can I
Your
sort that in?
Your salesman do it.
I
Okay.
called whoever that lot of oil's from, and asked them what assistance they could give you on it, that you want. Is that emulsion that's in that tank?
Uh-huh,
I think
You said you had a way to circulate.
down to it, circulate it would be the deal.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have a pump associated with it, you've got is it gravity feed?
gravity.
You have to circulate it with.
But I could ask the sales group if they
That'd be
could
the
push it
best.
through something.
Yeah.
That'd be the best place to start.
Just double check it, but it might be an option, just go fill up
I
too.
was gonna say, if they can't do that for you, I don't think I can reel neither the other.
Do we know yet, or do we have any feel on health insurance, what we're, Judge, they usually start reaching out and telling us a date that we should have some numbers by?
It's gonna be more. It's gonna be higher.
Well, we don't know that, but it's a little early yet. I mean, realize our year on this only started January 1st.
Mhm.
So you don't even have, you have 1 quarter's worth of claims in it. But I will ask them when they think we're gonna see something. Usually, we get a preliminary number in June. Now, they can run and tell us kind of where we stand right now in the ratio of premium versus claims. We can do that.
and I wondered, I haven't heard the recent how we're looking in the overall. This Friday, we kick off the Ideal Wichita Falls. I'm going to be allowed to be a judge this year. That could be dangerous, I guess, but I'm looking forward to that, and that's Friday at Midwestern. We start the process, and I believe there's about 25 competitors there in that arena, so that ought to be interesting, and look forward to that process, and that won't select until later in the year. And Iowa Park's underway with their school bond, and Barry, I did get clarification. I spoke to Jonathan this morning, and there is an 8-cent bond that's retiring. It has retired. The new bond is a 28-cent cost. 8 cents of that will be eat up by, so the rate, 20-cent increase overall is what, and I was hearing bits and pieces of that, and I just didn't have it down straight, but I got the scoop on that. And then the last thing I had, Amanda, on this is something that would help somebody like me that once in a blue moon hires somebody, but we dropped the ball because we didn't know what the process was entirely on the person to do the flow of work needed or the paperwork needed to bring that employee on and me sign off on what needed to be signed off on. We got him hired and we put him to work, and then I couldn't pay him. And I just...
The one that's just starting in electric, not that one?
Mhm.
Okay.
But we've got him all cured, but I just wondered if we could utilize a sign-off sheet for the departments that touch that person, that we know, that you maybe see, that you know within a given the appropriate amount of time maybe, that you have returned that check-off list and all systems are go.
The biggest issue we run into with it is the notice that HR is given that somebody's gonna start work. We've got a couple of employees that I get notice that they offer a job on Thursday and they want to start Monday. That doesn't even give me enough time to do drug tests and get the results back. So.
Yeah, no, I would wait on you, but what happened is you vetted my person and he went to work, and then at the start of a payroll, and then the day before we're cutting checks, or when we're cutting checks, I'm getting a call from payroll saying, I don't see this guy.
Yeah, we send notice to payroll as soon as the person's cleared for work, whether they're starting the next day or they're
But isn't there paperwork that I'm required to
You
submit?
gotta tell them what you're gonna pay.
Yeah, I just wondered if we could have that flow of work, so you could say, Jeff, hey, you know, I notified payroll, but they need your form, or they need X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, normally they contact the department, so if they didn't contact the department, they don't.
Yeah, no, I was just, and it's just simply because we
You had
do
a
it once
short
in a
week,
blue moon.
Also, in that, right?
Do what?
You had a short week, didn't you just start last week?
No, he started, he's done on his second cycle now, so
I
it's
mean, we
been,
kinda count on people to have some intuitive idea that if you don't notify them what you're gonna pay them, they have a hard time figuring that out.
yeah. No, I just, and I know in the past that I've signed stuff that, you know, it's been that form, and I recognized it when Willie gave it to me, but I just, in this instance, never thought about it. I guess I assumed it happened, I don't know.
Then you have to think about getting a checklist, or someplace online the word think comes in.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Normally the way it works is, once we send them for their testing, we get the results back, we email benefits, let them know, okay, this person's good to go in this department. They contact them for everything payroll related, because I don't send any payroll, I don't receive any payroll, anything. So we let them know that, okay, this person's cleared to go ahead and get set up with the department and get them on payroll, on the books.
I see. And the very last thing I had was, and Curtis's group helped me, Linda especially, I've got health insurance, my portion of health insurance for 2018 in the blue or gray area out there, and I could not make the connection, and Linda made it in my mind for me. So I go on my Blue Cross Blue Shield portal, and I look at the fact that I have met my deductible and I have met my copay amount. But all that means is that Blue Cross Blue Shield identifies those two numbers. It may not mean that any employee has met those amounts. So if you looked at my portal in into 2018 or early up in 2018, by July of 2018, it would show that I owed zero co-insurance or zero deductible and a zero for the next $20,000. I have to pay $4,000 of the next 20, I pay $4,000 of the next $22,000, and so it appears in Blue Cross Blue Shield that I would have done that, when in fact I could have paid zero and it'd still be showing that, because all they do is, and this is Greek to me, or it just didn't register with me this way, and it may register with everybody else just fine, but the first bill that comes in, let's say for this year, it's $4,000. Blue Cross Blue Shield will take that bill, they will pay $2,000 on it, and then toss the rest back to you. And they'll call your deductible done. So whether you pay that deductible or not is none of their business. They're considering you meeting your deductible at that point. And so it just didn't quite register with me that way, and Linda helped me through it, doing an audit on our stuff and making sure that I saw it. And then what compounds my problem is now taking my register and going through there. Both me and my wife were utilizing hospitals, so now not only do I have to look at United Regional, but I have to identify United Regional payment as to, was it mine or hers, so it compounds the matter a little bit more as well. So I certainly don't advise anybody to pay those bills when they come in initially, but you do need to have a good grip on it, because it can be mind-boggling if not. So that's all I have, Judge.
All right, thanks, sir. We do have a meeting Wednesday for payroll at 11 o'clock. Okay. And then are we gonna have a meeting Friday? It doesn't sound like it.
This coming Friday?
This coming Friday.
Oh, with everybody gone. Oh, yeah.
Trustee.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
okay.
say no.
Okay.
We'll work the list.
I will be here. I canceled my trip to Amarillo and all that, so good luck on your deal. Hope you make that.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
I think there's several.
Commissioner Beecham is trying to go on to take one of the director positions on the West Texas board.
What is the schedule Tuesday then? What is that budget that you mentioned?
Starting Tuesday, most of your outside agencies are going to start coming in Wednesday and Thursday.
Are we posting those? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
What time are we going to start those meetings?
On Tuesday, it's 9 to 12, and then there's one in the afternoon. Wednesday, it's 9 to 12 only. Thursday, 10:30 to 12, and then in the afternoon, 1:30 to 4:30.
Just, okay.
On the 30th.
I don't have anybody for Tuesday and Thursday afternoon yet.
Well, I think we better think about Thursday. I'm gonna be here, but I don't think you guys are gonna be here.
I'll be here.
You'll be here.
This week?
Yes, sir.
Or the following?
No,
This week.
the
No, I will not.
Following.
May.
Oh, the following, no, I will be the following.
Yeah, no, budget talks start next week.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week. That's why I was telling Jeff.
We were looking at April the 30th to go to that Capitol visitation.
Yeah.
And that's, Nancy said, well, we've got our first budget.
Yeah.
The afternoon of the 30th, I have kindergarten roundup.
What?
Kindergarten roundup.
That'll be
Meeting
exciting.
with a lot of other commissioners.
Don't let Commissioner Harvey hook the trailer up.
Yeah. Okay, big thing on Wednesday is payroll, and we'll have jail maintenance report and other staff reports. Some less than positive news, former, Justice Peace Precinct 4, Judge Richard Cranford passed away, last week. and his services will be, Tuesday at Electra First Baptist Church. So for any family to make that'd be nice. Visitation will be the night before at All's Funeral Home, from 6 to 7 p.m. And also this week going on, we have the Texas Alliance for Energy folks in. They're having their conference over in Impact. And you all probably got invitations for dinner tonight.
Actually.
I didn't.
We always do, but I didn't this year.
Okay.
We always have in the past with Mavericks.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, on that note, Judge, I had a school board member from Burke Burnett call and visit with me. Prior to that, the chief appraiser spoke to me concerning proposed solar farm in Burke that the school district has on their action table right now that involves us. And Lisa seemed to have knowledge of that same thing, but she said before we took any action, and I told the school board member the same thing, she felt it well suited to talk to Pritchard and Abbott's fella here because of the life of those solar farms, that abatement needs to be structured well different. He's going to send me, school board is sending me the contact that they're using to work through their equation on this, but I just think that it's, probably beneficial that we talk to someone that's
We're
been,
not gonna thank you, brother.
they're wanting to.
Well,
I
they
didn't
want
say
to.
you ever did.
But
They want to for, now, what happens, and Barry, I don't understand totally, but the way he explained to me that the property is Dwyer Farms, which comes out of ag exempt value, coming on at regular value. There's a penalty in that.
3-year rollback.
And so that kicks into play, but then the life of the project could be minimal, and then what happens to the ag exempt value? I mean, property owner, the leaser is going to be stuck with those higher taxes for a period of time until he,
until they remove the solar farm.
well, he has to have 5 years after the fact to go back into ag before he qualifies, so.
Well, right, but I mean, okay, but it's not gonna start qualifying, I wouldn't think, until it's capable of being ag. So you
That's
gotta
right.
take all those little posts out of those concrete mounds and do all those little panels.
Be back to
I
farming.
don't see it going back. Once you do that, would never see it going back. I think there's too much out there.
I thought it was
It's
interesting.
certainly true with the wind deals, and solar's gonna be nearly the same. I've looked at it.
I thought it was interesting that there was a short life on that equipment, and that's what she seemed to, Pritchard and Abbott's telling her, and she just wanted us to drill to the bottom.
10 years.
No, she thought it was shorter. The depreciation schedule on that stuff is shorter.
The technology's just racing forward. There's also a big one being built in Childers. We can do some checking there. I think it's under construction, I
It
understand.
is, and they've got two of them, they've got better.
Yeah, they're
But-
big. They're big.
And on that note, Judge, I think it's totally probably, or have big money opposition, but at the same time, I mean, think about this scenario happening in the state of Texas that is an ad valorem of value to us, that if I'm pumping a well, if I have a well on my place and I'm pumping it, I'm paying taxes on it. But if I shut that thing down and I've got that setting there and I'm not pumping, I'm not paying a penny. And I don't understand how they can circumvent, if I have a rent house and nobody in it, I'm still paying on that thing. How can that be, and would it not be proactive and effective in Texas to design something that takes, for example, Levi just bought a place with 3 wells on it, hadn't pumped in 20 years. They're still sticking up out of the ground. But I guarantee if the tax started showing up on those things, they'd go away in a hurry instead of being a blight on Texas farmland or wherever they are with there's no intention. They were low producing wells and they just can't justify them. So, but it would seem to me that there could be benefit in something designed to take some of that into account.
You don't have
Because-
Skittles, obviously.
No, that's, I guarantee you that's the case,
Yeah.
but it would share the burden that is out there amongst us ad valorem taxpayers that funding the things that we know are essential for whether it's county, city, or school. And it would just help share that burden and probably push some of them out of the marketplace if they're not going to be existent. And
He'll try to get an eminent domain law passed in Texas on right of way.
yeah, I know, it's, but anyway.
We're doing away with fossil fuel in 12 years anyway.
That's a good point. Although the eminent domain bill did pass out of Senate Committee 27-3.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong.
It's,
But Craddock is not scheduled for the House yet, so that's,
well, hopefully there's some sense, the week down there was typical week there, 7 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night. And,
those guys look tired this week. When I said the heat's on, I'll tell you, you could tell.
well, the other night, State Affairs
Went all night.
went all night, went 6:30.
Bruce Springer slept on his couch in his office for about an hour and a half after that was over.
Representative already did that in the session around when it was down there.
Well, I really wish, Judge, that there was a day that we could go collectively down in format to speak to guys that touch our side of the world and at least let them know how we feel. Whitmire's speech, if y'all saw it, that
Excellent.
David sent around, I thought was the nail on the head as to why and what these people now have no consideration for local government ideals, and they're making decisions that are outside of their expertise that they've ever dealt with before, and instead of relying on the people that are screaming and hollering, don't do it that way.
Well, House Bill 281, if passed, it's already, I believe, passed, and Senate Bill 29 is already out of the Senate, will restrict you from coming as a local elected official on the taxpayer dime to go down and either represent for or against. Now, if you're invited by, and it's not clear whether it's the sponsor of the bill or a committee member, then you can use local tax money to come down there. Well, now, if we go by the experience of what the Lieutenant Governor and Senator Bettencourt did on their tax reform 2 years ago, only the people they invited got to speak, and they had one thing in common. They were all in agreement.
They were all in agreement.
Too, and those of them that stood up had just about been in contempt of that proceeding to get heard for 2 minutes.
Kind of stacked
And
it up,
interrupted,
didn't it?
and interrupted,
Yeah.
and discouraged, but this, and I'm communicating with some of our local people about this House Bill 281, because it would limit us from doing that. And in discussions with Representative Frank, he was like, well, I'm not trying to quiet local government, and he said he would look into the bill, and we're gonna try to talk about it, because they sent out a deal from the Republican caucus telling everybody they need to jump behind this. This, to me, is a push of a very powerful lobby group, Empower Texas, that really plans to eliminate local government, as we know today. They're in the things they're trying to pass to constrain the ability of local government. Now, and I'm joking, I said, if I come down here on my own dime, I may not be near as civil as I am right now.
Yeah, that's right.
And I will be there, because we have a right to be able to voice without calling on the phone. You need to be able to sit in a committee meeting and speak to that whole
Sure,
committee.
I'm with you.
I spoke on the C-TERS bill I told you all about a while ago. And the only person that questioned me was from Odessa, Texas. And he's one of the 52.
He's gonna go
So
out
he
there.
didn't want to dilute that money anyway.
No.
And don't get me wrong, they need it, but we do too.
But we do too.
That's right.
And if you are a severance producer, then you ought to, if they, to me, they ought to take and say, okay, Wichita County puts in 4.2 million a year, they are 3% of the amount, so, okay, then we ought to get that 3% of 250 million, which isn't a whole lot, but the 1.2 million we got 4 years ago certainly helped us out a lot.
Mhm.
Sure did.
Mhm.
Well, the one thing people fail to realize, Judge, when you think about this, the commerce of this county does not get to 44 and 287 by magic. It gets there on secondary roads. 287 is great, 44 is great, the interstate system's wonderful, but the commerce of this county, all the manufacturing, all the ag, all the oil, every bit of it comes down secondary roads to get to the major, it's a vitally important part of the system, and people don't understand that thing. Well, as long as 44 is good, 287 is good, it's great, you gotta get it there.
Yeah.
And it's done on secondary roads, and a lot of them are county roads.
Well, and
That's why what we do is very important.
the traffic jams, this is what's, can you imagine a traffic jam at Lazy J and,
Yeah.
367? In the heavy producing counties, they're having that kind of problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And,
I've seen it, so.
you know, so I mean, it's real. Ours are not that bad, but I tried to explain to the Odessa rep that we have rural subdivisions. Now, within the subdivision, they built their own roads, they're gonna have that traffic. When they turn out and get on the Old State Road, they've gotta compete with, you know, ag and oil traffic.
And manufacturing. There's a lot more manufacturing out in the rural areas now. It's
Yeah.
growing by the day. You know, every bit of that commerce goes down to the secondary roads.
Well,
It's vital to us.
That is a good point, Judge, you just brought up, and something I was thinking about this weekend. Mark has one, for example, that's completing now. A subdivision, interior roads, turns out onto Old State, and who is responsible for those roads in that subdivision once that's complete?
We have on, as far as I know, what was completed before I became commissioner. They've completed the circle.
But what-
I've seen
what-
nothing,
Because of
nothing.
What Yeah, and what transitions?
Yeah, they don't, I don't think they got dedicated to us, I don't think they, but you know, one of the things we still don't have, we don't have any kind of thing tells people what our standards are. There's no subdivision order approved by this county.
Well, that would address that, you're saying?
Yes. Now, people can build private roads, but then after, just look at Lake Arrowhead's developments.
Mhm.
And, you know,
Worse, drive them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I didn't know if by just building it, they anticipate the county to maintain them over
No, they got dedicated.
perpetuity.
We should have things that, make that, you know, that make that, you know, a road, but we have to build to the same standard of road that we require them.
That curb and gutter,
Mhm.
yes, the,
Yeah.
well, that's good long term.
It's not curb.
No, it's
It's
just
not.
chip and seal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that a lot of that already had curb on
See,
it.
I thought the ETJ, handled some of that, yeah.
Well,
Do what?
that would
The
be-
ETJ, I thought it handled some of that.
Well, it does.
It addresses it, but I don't know what.
But that's outside of Holidays, ETJ, you're over half a mile out.
Yeah, and city of Wichita Falls, it certainly would, Barry, I think. And
Yeah.
I know we
City
took,
of Olive Arch's it's fairly large.
we took them to task at Wichita Valley Water because there was a time when someone come in for a new water meter that was inside that ETJ that the city wanted the escrow put up for curb and guttering on that property. And so we had a lawsuit over it. We were able to circumvent that after it was all said and done, where that didn't, but it was real hindrance to acquiring a water meter out there.
One of the things that we're getting involved in right now that's only gonna get bigger is drainage issues, where drainage transfers over
Sure.
to a county deal, and it's created,
Sure.
we've had several long discussions about how we're gonna handle that in the future, and that's a growing problem. It gets worse all the time. Every time you build something, you displace more water, and that, we've got some major drainage issues and no real solution for it.
Right.
Don't have easements, don't have right of ways, don't have actually the expertise to handle it, and it's gonna continue to be a bigger problem, so. Other than that, we're nearly done, Judge, we're, no problems, no challenges.
Commissioner Watts, follow along with what you said about people who want the legislature. You can go to the legislature from your desk, go to the House, Texas House online, you can look at committee meetings, you can look at what's been archived. You don't have to take secondhand work for it. They've got a very friendly site on looking up the bills. It sure helps to know a bill number, and all, but you can do that, and it's worth, you know, you have to think about that 10 hours of windshield time.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I don't like that at all.
And if they didn't like us coming, they sure want us to use the county jet.
Right.
You know, you talk about roads though, Judge. My hotel room up on the 5th floor looked down on 35. Wednesday night, if you ever had one of those occasions where you just wake up,
Yeah.
I woke up and I thought, what the heck? So I got up, looking around, something woke me up. And I look out my window, 11:30 at night, 35 is bumper to bumper.
Yep.
Yeah.
My son lives down there, of course, and I stayed the weekend. And I said, well, why do you get around on 35? Oh, Dad, nobody takes 35.
Yeah, they do.
You gotta go down and go around Loop 6 and then hook into 14 and, you know, it's all those little tributary roads, like you were talking about, Barry, it's just
They're vital.
who would want to live in that area? But I tell you, it was 11:30 at night, bumper to bumper.
There has been talk about putting a third layer on 35 going through Austin now, where that is in the discussion on, but it's been discussed.
Well, then they'd be right at window height, you would.
Turn right,
Yeah.
Boy, I love those express lanes in Fort Worth, though. Wow.
Man, yeah.
Wow, what a deal.
Just how big is your bill when you?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a nephew that lived down, he told me, he said, we can't afford to do that. And I said, well, I'm only through there every so often, so we've got to make it work. But anyway,
Anything else?
no, good discussion, no, Judge, good, as we head into budget.
Okay, it's 11:31. And we're adjourned.
That's